This could be the lowest price that we see Bitcoin hit in a very long time. And today I want to talk about the concept that this is just one very large bear trap, and bears are getting ready to get liquidated here without knowing it. I also don't think Bitcoin is going to break $30,000, and I'm going to talk about why in today's video, but there definitely is some strong arguments that the bottom for Bitcoin is near, and that we're getting ready to rally here in the coming weeks or even in the coming months. So if that does interest you, make sure you stick around for this video because I definitely do think that there's a lot of bullish potential with where Bitcoin and really all of cryptocurrency is sitting at, whether that's Bitcoin or altcoins alike. And I want to argue why in today's video. Now, we're also going to go into what's happening in the news over here. There was some pretty significant news to happen, especially with some updates on the NFT industry and that recent Iranian hack, which was the largest hack in cryptocurrency history. Now, I'm going to get into the news first, and then we're going to come back and dive into the charts of Bitcoin, and I want to explain why I think Bitcoin could very well be bottoming and why this could be a very large bear trap that gets people wrecked at the end of the day. But if you're not interested in the news, then you can skip over this part and we'll jump back into the charts here in just a second after this guy. Now, if you are new here, welcome back. My name is Brendan and this is the Crypto Analyst channel where we go over everything cryptocurrency related, anything from the fundamentals in the news to the technicals on the chart, and sometimes even on-chain metrics as well. So it's really just a matter of what's happening in the cryptocurrency industry right now. But in the news right now, we actually had some more information on this Iranian hack. Now, if you're not familiar, this was the largest hack in cryptocurrency history, and it was over $620 million in Ethereum stolen on the Iranian network as part of the Axie Infinity ecosystem. Now, since then, these funds have been locked up on centralized exchanges, so these hackers have not been able to withdraw these funds, but the FBI is saying that this is from a North Korean hacker group that was actually the ones to steal this $620 million. Now, this is one of the pros and cons of centralized exchanges, right? If something really bad does happen, like a massive hack like this one, then these funds can be locked up on these centralized exchanges because they have control over the wallets. In the same sense, if you do something that they disagree with or that the government disagrees with, they can also do the same thing to your wallet. So it really is a double-edged sword, and if you don't have a self-custodial wallet, I recommend getting at least one so that you can keep complete control over at least some of your cryptocurrency. Now, in other news, a cryptocurrency entrepreneur bought Jack Dorsey's first NFT for nearly $3 million, and he tried to relist it for $48 million. Unfortunately for him, the top bid is currently at less than $7,000. I mean, what a loss, right? It's one thing to buy these NFTs and lose a couple of thousand or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, but at this point, this guy's looking at losing over 99% of what he bought this NFT for, and it shows that not all NFTs have as much value as you might think they do, even if they're from a big public influencer like even Jack Dorsey, right? I mean, a $3 million NFT buy that's only getting relisted for $6,800 is quite the hit. And it just shows you that you have to be careful with what you're getting into in the NFT industry. Personally, I love the NFT industry. I think it's great. There's so much money to be made in it. However, this is not something where you can just throw money at anything and make money back on it. You have to be intelligent about your investments, and sometimes they just don't work out, and this is a great example of that. Now, beyond this, the Central Bank of Portugal grants the country's first crypto license to one of its banks. This is just a sign that continual adoption is happening, and I think we're going to see more of a follow-up here with other countries. We're already seeing this, and I feel like every single video I make, it's just another level of adoption happening across the globe. Again, whether that is North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia, it doesn't matter. There's adoption happening literally over the entire globe right now for cryptocurrency, and yet price continues to fall, which is part of the stuff that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But in final news, Saylor calls MicroStrategy's Bitcoin play a tremendous success. Now, if you're not familiar, Michael Saylor, I believe, has over 120,000, almost 130,000 Bitcoin, which comes out to nearly $4 billion, which is at least how much he's spent. And he has been buying Bitcoin for years. When Bitcoin wasn't even in single digits, or not single digits, the single thousands. And he has made a tremendous amount of money off of this play, and so has his company and his investors, just making billions and billions of dollars from this play. People like to call him Captain Sailor, ironically, but he has been one of the leaders and pioneers in the Bitcoin space, and he's now one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. But this just goes to show that, if you get in early to the right thing, you can certainly make a lot of money, which is what he's showing and what other people are now doing in the altcoin industry. But let's talk about the main point of this video, and that is this chart that we have over here on Bitcoin. Now, first things first, we have a giant rising channel that we can see going all the way back to January of this year, right? We've been touching support and resistance, touched support 1, 2, in fact 3 separate times, and we've touched support twice and potentially coming down for that third touch point just around here. But if we zoom out, guess what? We have a very large rising channel inside of this smaller rising channel, right? So we can see this one highlighted by the red, and this one goes from support up to resistance, back down to support for a couple of touch points, back up to resistance, and guess what, guys? We've come back to support for our 2 to 3 touch points, just like last time, and I think that there's a good chance that we rally over here. And so my thoughts here are, if Bitcoin could not break after, maybe this is a topic for its own separate video, but if Bitcoin couldn't break from every black swan event in the book, we're talking pandemics, we're talking war, we're talking interest rate hikes, the NASDAQ, which we have over here, just crashing and falling. Every kind of FUD and black swan event that we could ever think of in the books happening has happened, and Bitcoin is still yet to break $30,000. In fact, we tested this once, we came back down and tested this again over here for the second macro swing time to the bottom after hitting new all-time highs, and we still have been rallying off of this area. And so my thoughts here are, if all these different black swan events could not break Bitcoin, what is going to be the thing that is so massive, so substantial, that's going to be worse than everything that we have seen? And I can't help but believe that the worst of all of this is behind us for the most part. Now, sure, that doesn't mean that things can't continue to escalate. That doesn't mean that rate hikes can't continue to go up and that the war can't get worse and stuff. But I do think that the market has factored a lot of this stuff in already, and that from a technical perspective, we've already shown that we're very comfortable buying on support, because every time that we have reached these levels, Bitcoin rallied almost 40% the first time. The second time it rallied over 40%. And then now we're approaching this level for the third time after rallying nearly 40% twice now. So it shows that people are extremely comfortable buying Bitcoin in these levels. And equally as much, there are people that are comfortable selling, but I think that those people that are selling are getting weaker. Because if we go over here to this daily chart, or the daily MACD rather, we can see that this MACD is starting to round back up towards the upside over here. And even on this weekly, we could be setting ourselves up for a potential level of a triple weekly bullish divergence on the MACD, and something very similar on the RSI as well, as I think that we are just queuing ourselves up for a home run on Bitcoin. I mean, this is just macro divergence that shows that the bulls are still maintaining and growing strength, even as price is falling. So if we want to zoom out back over here on this 3-day and just look at the overall macro of Bitcoin, I think that as we approach this support area, the risk versus reward, in my opinion, is just substantial over here. Because if we want to enter into any kind of position, all we really have to do is to say, okay, well, if we do approach support, maybe I put a stop loss like this, but if we want to go back up to resistance, the profit potential here is almost 100%. Meaning that if we go from something like 30,000 back up to 60,000, you double your money. Now, again, nothing I say here is legal, financial, or tax advice in any kind of a way, but all that I'm asking is, look at the trend of Bitcoin over here. Yes, it is a rising channel, which I know people are and really can see as bearish potential, but I think that this is just more so of a bear flag, more so than anything like that. This is just showing that the overall trend of Bitcoin for the past almost 16 months now has been an uptrend, and we're coming from one uptrend into another uptrend. And even though we have these bearish dips, the macro trend of Bitcoin, the more we zoom out, is continually upwards since its inception, right? And so that's what I'm looking at over here on Bitcoin, is saying, okay, I'm looking at the macros. Yes, we do have a lot of technical support over here, but we also have a lot happening on the fundamentals of the chart as well. And so I'm looking at this, again, with risk versus reward. Maybe I set some stop losses up in case I get stop hunted, but I'm a firm believer that something really, really crazy would have to happen on Bitcoin if it was going to break that 30K level. And if we haven't seen that crazy thing yet, I just don't know what it would be that would lead prices down. I think it would have to be a massive stock market collapse. It would have to be war escalating, pandemic getting substantially worse than it ever has been before, and rates going through the roof. I mean, it would just have to be a world-ending economic scenario. And at that point, I think that Bitcoin would start to actually profit off of everything getting so crazy, because I think people would get sick of what's happening in traditionals and seek an alternative hedge towards their investments and also towards their fiat, in which case I think Bitcoin would do very, very well. So I just don't see a scenario where cryptocurrency really gets destroyed like we have seen it happen in the past. Is it possible? Absolutely, right? I mean, we're in a volatile market, but the more that I look at this, I think just from a reasonable and logical point of view, we can come down more towards these support levels. I just have a hard time seeing those support levels breaking. So that's going to round us out for this video today. I hope you all did enjoy. And if you did, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. And share this video with a friend or someone that might need to hear this as well, as it can definitely help them out, help them stay informed, all right? So once again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great weekend.